Hi there, welcome to Mini Math Lessons with Karen, and today I'm going to be looking at an activity that has to do with one proportional z-test and one proportional z-interval. So it's an activity that students should already have an understanding of what a z-test and a z-interval is and what they're looking for and what parameters they need. So it's more of an application type problem, but what I do want to also show in this video is how you actually bring up those tests, those templates that are embedded in Classpad.net. So I'm using Classpad.net, and again, here's the landing page. If you don't have an account, make sure you create one, because then you can save any work that you do in the activity, create your own activities, modify the one, whatever. So having an account just allows you to have a place to store things. So the URL to this is going to take you to the activity. So this is the activity, and the URL is provided in the description of the video here. So basically, this is an activity where it's a school district that's wanting to change its offering in the cafeteria. They want to offer some healthy options here, and so they are not sure that students will eat it. So they want to kind of do a study and figure out, is it worth the investment? Is it worth doing that to determine if students will actually eat the changed menu. So the first two questions from this are more about just analyzing the situation and what would they need to do. So the first one is, if this is the school district, what are some things they have to consider before they send out this study? What kind of things do they have to think about? So again, this is an application problem. You'd want students to understand what it means to send out a survey, what kind of questions need to be asked, those types of things. What are they looking for? So they're going to kind of just write their own understanding of that here. Then the second question is saying, okay, well, the school district wants to know if more than 25% of the students would be likely to eat the vegetables at least 3 times a week. So then it's talking about the alpha at 0.05 or 0.10. So again, students would really need to understand what that means, because they're basically being asked to make a decision which one of these is the most appropriate. 3 and 4 get into actual doing of the z-test and the z-interval and interpreting those results. So you'll see here that there's already a template, and it gives the students some of the numbers that need to go in here, right? So they interviewed 90 students. They found out that 26 of them said they would eat vegetables. And so the question is, based on that information, a sample size of 90, 26 of those responded that they would. Is that at least a 25%? Can they conclude that more than 25% of the student body would then eat the vegetables? Like, is that a logical conclusion to make based on this sample size and out of the 90 students that were asked? So they're asked to do a one prop z-test, and basically all they have to do is plug things in. So that's the easy part. But I did want to talk about, where did this come from? Where's this template coming from? And so basically, and I've kind of hidden it under here, but it comes from the statistics options, and statistics are data. And so you get a data table, and if you just click the data table, what happens is all the options for statistics come up. So you'll see that whenever you have a statistics table, that you have a lot of things that you can do. You can do calculations, so 1, 2 variable, regressions, tests, intervals, distributions, inverse distributions, and then graphs. And so this one prop z-test comes from the test menu, and you'll see that there are a lot of different tests that we can do. So those AP Stats teachers, there's a lot here that you can do with your students. And so we picked this template, this one proportion z-test, and that's where this came from. So, and since I'm not having anything in the table, I just have it over the table so it's not seen. So what happens is when they enter their conditions for this, so we want greater than, right? And so we put in our parameters. We have 26 out of a total of 90. So it's just an easy fill in the template. And what happens when you hit execute or just hit end, you end up with a graph. Now notice the graph is not very nice looking because it's not in a very good scale. And so my suggestion, and I've included here, is to change your scale so you can see the interval a little bit better. So if we just change these values, and I have given suggested values. Obviously we want the y to be pretty small because it's percentages, right? So what did I say? I think 1. And we want the scale here to be 0.1. So when I change that, now it's going to look a lot nicer. And so now you can actually see things. So here is that interval. So then they're going to interpret that, right? So this is where this template comes from. I just want to make sure everyone knew that I wasn't just pulling this out of something. It comes from the statistics menu that you make a table and you click on it and you can get the statistics. Now, I don't want students to actually see all of this work done. So I'm going to actually create a new one so that you see it. And there it is again. So, because I want them to determine what values need to go into the template, but I was trying to make sure that you understood where that happens. So they're going to do that. They're going to analyze that. There's some questions on this, and then they come down and they're going to do, so this was a zTest, and now we're going to do a zInterval, see what our confidence is. So it's the same idea. It's once they have the information, so they got some of the information up here, and then they have some more here, they're going to fill in the proper terms. And this again simply came from a statistics table. Then when you click it, here's your point, your possibilities, and we were looking now at the intervals. We were doing a 1 proportion zInterval. So that's where that came from. So in the activity, it's all set up for you, but if you wanted to create your own, that's where they come from. So this is the activity. Basically, students are going to be able to fill in, think about the values, and basically analyze this situation. So this is an application problem, not a learning or a how-to problem related to z-testing and z-intervals.